I've been using this little trick to help me solve Wordle puzzles faster. It revolves around the letter X, which, let's be honest, when it comes to Wordle, X is almost useless. Make sure you stick around until the end when not only do I share how we do this, but I share an amusing Wordle outcome from using this Wordle trick. Also, I want to talk for 1 minute about fraud, and I have some fraud prevention tips. I hope you'll listen because I'd hate to see any of you defrauded. Now, I'm going to start off with an example from a recent Wordle round. So bear with me if you guess the answer before I finished. And if you played this week, you have a slightly an advantage, if you will. Okay, so let's talk about X. Let's face it, it's rarely used in any of the Wordle solutions. It's rarely used in the English language, but it's not completely useless because I found a way to use it to make up for its uselessness, if you will. Also, just as humor for Wordle people, I can't imagine what's going to happen when Xerox, Xerox, is the answer. I think there'll be a lot of gnashing of teeth and pulling of hair, if you will. I checked on the internet, and apparently Xerox is a legitimate word for Scrabble. So I'm thinking that, you know what, it's probably also a legitimate word for Wordle. So we shall see. Time will tell. All right, so let's move on to the trick. So I started out as usual on this one particular day, because remember I said I'm using an example, and I put in two of my favorite starting words. I started with stare, S-T-A-R-E, and I got, well, there's an A in it. Well, that's nice to know, but not much that I can do with it on its own. And then the next word I put in was doily, D-O-I-L-Y. Again, that's great. And now I find out that I have an A, an O, and an I. And I don't know about you, but I can't solve it from those three letters. I wish I could, but I can't. I thought about it and I thought about it, and I just couldn't come up with anything. So I have some words that I use in these situations. Normally, I'd use churn, C-H-U-R-N next, but I'm thinking with an A, an I, and an O, it's unlikely that there's going to be a U involved. So I threw that out, and I went with chimp, which I already know it will help that the I's in the middle and the I's in the middle. So whatever. And now I find out that I have an A, an I, and an O, A-I-O, and an M. Okay. And I'm looking at this, and nothing's coming. Sometimes when I have four letters and I look at it, I'm sure this happens to you too. And if it does, you can let me know in the comment below. But I look at the four letters and boom, it comes to me, and I'm away to go. But this wasn't one of those days. Now, what I finally learned after much, gnashing of teeth, if you will, is that when there are three vowels in the solution, as there is this time, there's a decent chance that the first letter will be a vowel and not a consonant. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking a position and I'm deciding that one of the first letters will be a vowel. I could be wrong, but that's the investigative road I'm going to go down, if you will. So I've decided that a vowel will be in the first spot, and I'm going to use an X to mark the spot of the missing letter. Because remember, I have four letters already, but nothing's coming to me. So I start off like this. I start off with, I know the I is in the middle. The I has to be in the middle. And I'm going to start off with A in the first spot. And so I put A-M-I, and then I put the X in, and then the O. Okay. And the X, and then I start going through the alphabet, which I have the keyboard there for you. And I start going through in my head silently the letters. A-M-I-W-O, nothing. A-M-I-F-O, no. A-M-I-G-O, amigo. Well, maybe that could be it, except we're playing in English, not Spanish. So anyway, I work my way through, and nothing comes of this. So I move on now, and I'm going to try O in the first position, which I do. And again, I use the X to mark the spot, if you will, for the missing letter. So I'm again spacing out my vowels, and I'm trying O-M-I-X-A, and I'm trying to find obviously what goes in the X spot. And so I work my way through this, and nothing, okay? I don't come up with not even an amigo, okay? I'm left high and dry. Now, before I get to that, show you the solution, which I kind of thought was a little bit amusing, I want to just share that I'm on Twitter, and usually after I play my hands, I post something on Twitter that you'll only get if you played the hand and you won. Otherwise, it will, be like, that's kind of a crazy clue. So I don't give it away, or I try not to give it away. But anyway, follow me on Twitter, Mary S. Schaefer, if you're on there, and I'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you like these episodes, please give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate those thumbs up, and we appreciate your subscribes. Okay, so now I'm going to try putting the M in the last position because I'm running out of options here. And I know the I and I think IO can go together. So I start with AXIOM, and I'm starting to go AW, AF, AG, and sound them out in my head. And all of a sudden I was like, wait a second. Axiom is a word. Is it possible that axiom was the solution? And I hit the enter key. And as you know, if you played this week, axiom was the solution. So, X came into play here, but even if it hadn't, it helps you solve anyway. If my little trick, that's it. So I kind of had a good laugh at myself when this was the correct answer. Now, I wanted to share with you, I'm really concerned about fraud. Unfortunately, is rampant, and criminals seem to regularly find new ways to defraud hardworking, honest citizens just like you. My friend and colleague Lynn Lawson has joined me on a number of broadcasts trying to shed some light on these miserable practices. We put together a playlist with everything all the videos in it relating to Zelle. Some of them are about fraud. A few of them aren't. They're all short videos. Okay, so we've got a playlist, a Zelle playlist, as we call it. And then a few days ago, we did one on fraud related to the sale of timeshares. Okay, and crooks are using this little technique that they have to try and get your personal information that I am certain they will use to defraud whoever's information they can get. So they get your personal information. Links to both of these will appear momentarily on YouTube and are in the show notes below. And you can watch it using either of those links if you're interested. So be careful, and a big thank you to all of those who subscribe, all of those who hit the like button, all of those who share, and all of you who comment. Be safe.